everybody, I'm Laura Trump coming to you from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Just when you thought they couldn't go farther left, the 2020 Democrats are getting more extreme all the time. Joining me is a former Democrat and the founder of the Walk Away campaign, Brandon Straka. Brandon, great to have you back.
It's great to be back. Thank
Since
you.
you've been here, you spoke at a rally for the president. And
I did.
What was the reaction from Trump supporters?
It was incredible. It was an amazing rally. There were 18,000 people. There are 10,000 people surplus outside, and it was nothing but love. I actually got a chance to do some street interviews outside. People were lining up like 30 hours in advance.
I know.
So I got to go and ask people why they were there, and it was just a love fest.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
I knew they would support you because you've been so great with the president and supporting his policies and him, and we appreciate that. Now, we want to turn, since you are a former Democrat, to the Democrat debates. Let's take a look at how crazy they are after this latest debate. Watch this.
Our Democratic primary debate starts right now.
So, President Trump, you've spent the last 2.5 years full-time trying to sow hate and division among us.
We have a white supremacist in the White House.
Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago? Are you forgetting already what you said just 2 minutes ago?
So, Brandon, as a former Democrat, give me your reaction.
Well, I mean, to me, it's just sort of typical to, where these guys are headed. They're totally out of touch with the American people. I think they're not listening to any of us and what we actually want. And they're still not understanding why the American people love Trump.
Yeah, now they've never gotten it. The media hasn't figured it out. And it's funny because you would think they would have learned a little bit by now, especially when it comes to some of the top issues in the campaign. Let's talk about this. All of the candidates are running on repealing the tax cuts that this president implemented that are helping so many people across this country. What is your reaction to that?
My reaction is that this is a spiteful reaction to a successful president.
Yeah.
That's what they really want to do. They would rather the American people suffer than give any credit to Donald Trump, this administration, or the successes that they've had. I mean, we've even heard Hollywood celebrities say this all the time, that they'd rather see the country crash and burn under President Trump than to actually admit that he's doing a great job.
And some of them are even, Brandon, hoping for a recession,
Yes,
which would be so bad for the country as a whole, only because it would reflect poorly in their eyes on this president.
I mean, can you imagine being so spiteful? One of the key tenets, I think, of being a great American is that, sometimes your candidate makes it into the office and sometimes they don't. But we all come together and we accept that the office of president is something that we respect, and that for America to succeed, the president needs to succeed. Right. We need to support the president.
Yeah, unfortunately, that has not translated over to the Democrats
They haven't
so
gotten
far.
the message yet.
They haven't. Maybe they will coming up. We'll see. Now, something else that all of these Democrats running for president support are open borders, decriminalization of border crossings by illegal aliens. It's shocking whenever you contrast that with this president, who has said, I want to make sure we have a secure country, a secure border. We want to know who's coming into this country. What's the disconnect here? Why are these people so adamant that we should have open borders, decriminalize border crossings?
This sort of ties into part of the reason why I walked away. There were many reasons why I walked away, but I started to see very clearly that there's something within the whole mentality of liberalism and what Democrats support that they just don't like America as it exists today. They have this utopian vision of what it could be, but it certainly isn't great now, and it certainly never has been great. Right. And I think that they don't have a lot of concern for American people who are suffering, for American people who are struggling, and their own children could be doing better, their own families could be doing better. Right. They only care about other people coming into this country. And, and it's sort of like, well, if it's at the detriment of American citizens, so be it.
Yeah.
But let's open the borders and let anybody in.
Yeah, versus this president who says, let's put America and Americans first.
Right.
Let's look at what comes over our southern border. Human trafficking is obviously a huge problem. Drugs coming over our borders. The illegal aliens that end up in sanctuary cities and oftentimes are out on the streets as criminals. Some of these people have committed horrible acts and injure or kill Americans. It's crazy that anybody would think that that's okay, but that's where the Democrats are. As well, they've proposed Medicare for all. Mm-hmm. Now, Brandon, this is such a hoax that actually I don't think is going to result in quality health care for anyone across this country if the Democrats get their way. You look at places like Canada that has a universal health care system for people. Canadians are coming to America as quickly as they can to
Right.
get surgeries, to get medical treatment. What are your thoughts on Medicare for all and what the Democrats propose?
Well, I saw a tweet from Bernie Sanders within the last couple of days that said the average cost of a woman going into labor in a hospital is about $32,000. And he said, but the cost with Medicare for all, zero.
Oh, geez.
So silly you if you spent any money on your recent birth, because you could have had it all for free.
I must be crazy. I could have gotten it for free.
Yeah, and my response to that was, yes, it is free if you are giving birth in the nearest manger on a pile of straw, which is probably what will be resulting to if we go with the Medicare for all system in the United States.
No, it's actually a little bit scary to think about. And when they tell you that if you want to keep your current insurance and healthcare coverage as you have it now, it will be illegal.
Right.
You cannot do that. That to me is very scary. But as you just alluded to, it's probably one of the many reasons that you walked away,
Right.
and that so many people, Brandon, are walking away from the Democrat Party, with Democrats seemingly taking votes for granted, and people all across this country's votes for granted. How has the minority support been for the walk-away campaign? Do you find that more and more people are walking away?
I do. Our numbers are definitely going up on all of our social media platforms, and we've had a lot of surging of our testimonials, which is where we started as a testimonial
Right.
campaign, people telling their stories. And we definitely do direct outreach to minority communities. We're doing events for the Black community, for LGBT community, for Hispanic, Jewish, you name it. And what we're seeing is that these people who I think in these enormous voting blocks were not putting that much thought into why they were voting Democrat. What we hear more often than not is that it's almost generational.
Right.
Well, my parents voted Democrat. My grandparents voted Democrat. I didn't even really realize I had an option. And so I think that these people are already feeling like something's wrong, just as I did. I felt that something was very wrong on the left, but it's like now knowing that there's this movement and this network of support for you to actually act on that feeling. You don't have to stay with the Democrats.
You don't.
If you want to, do it. But you certainly have a choice. And I would highly recommend making that choice.
And you would recommend coming on over, supporting President Trump.
I would.
Do you think, Brandon, that any other president, any other person in the Oval Office could have generated what we've seen happen with this movement that you started, the walkaway movement? I tend to think that it had to be someone like Donald Trump, bold and different and challenging the ideas of what it is to be president. He doesn't fit into the box that people have made for him, and I think that's very attractive to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Do you think anybody else could have done this?
No. And none of this would be happening today if it weren't for him. I would still be a liberal if it weren't for Donald Trump. Even if a different Republican made it into office and beat Hillary Clinton, I wouldn't have changed. Because it actually took this president and somebody who was willing to stand up to the liberal media, to stand up to the swamp in D.C., to open my eyes and show so clearly, not just to me, but I think millions across the country, that we're living in a country with a very dishonest media that is lying and manipulating the American people. And that's what woke me up. And then in that, I ended up starting this campaign for people to walk away. But none of this, he was absolutely the catalyst to this enormous change that we're seeing.
Well, thank goodness. And we're so grateful, honestly, for you. I think putting yourself out there the way you did initially was, I'm sure, very scary and such a big change in your life and to put yourself out there like that. But look at what you've done. And we're very proud to have your support and really to have you here today and to get your thoughts on your former party that has strayed so far, I think, from what so many people see. But keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you back.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate your support so much, too.
Oh,
Thank you.
Got it. Always. As the campaign heats up, extremist proposals are what the 2020 Democrats have to offer, causing more and more Democrat voters to walk away and support President Trump. That's the real news for today. I'm Laura Trump from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks for joining us, everybody.